Hello, I'm Doug, and this is the Taste and Sensibility channel, and you have arrived at episode 1 of Christmas wine tastings for 2022. So I've been a wine drinker for years and years, but don't always know what I'm tasting. And I got into it a little more recently because of a few tools I've acquired. So this first episode is really about tools and how you can equip yourself to be a little geekier, a little nerdier, a little more informed about the wine that you're tasting and liking, and might want to find something similar at a store or from another region. So that's sort of what this episode is about. And it's Christmas, and as usual, I'm celebrating Christmas. I am a Christian, and I'm celebrating the incarnation of God into our world to come and do for us what we could not do for ourselves. I'm also celebrating God's gift of wine to all people everywhere. There were many times in the past when wine was way safer to drink than the water that was around. So lots of places had good water, but lots of places had bad water. And wine got them through that. So the main thing you need when you're upping your information level on wine is some sort of guide. Some sort of compendium of grapes in geography and styles of wine in different places. So mine is, that I've had for years and have used on the channel before, is Wine Folly by Madeline Puckette and Justin Hammock. So she really started this whole ecosystem of looking at wine in a very graphical, visual way. So she's got over half the book is a list of grapes and grape varieties. And then she has lots of flavors that come out, the main flavors that people notice, a few comments about it, where it grows. And then if it's really one of the big ones, like here's Nebbiolo, a famous Italian grape. She's got the usual stuff here, different flavors, aroma, cellared at this temperature, decant it, drink it at this temperature, list of where it grows, and then second page, it's a much more extensive flavor wheel. So this is not what you're going to get in every example of Nebbiolo, but these are the ones people have pulled out and recorded. So, and then geography is going to affect it. So here's southern Piedmont, northern Piedmont, and a different place in Italy have different notes that are more or less prevalent. So this sort of book is really good. She's got a great introduction. She has great run through of grape varieties and the things you might get from those. And then she's got wine regions. So the last third of the book maybe is wine regions. So she goes through country by country with really good maps. So for this little first exercise of my geekier wine tasting on the channel, I have chosen the countries of Argentina, Australia, and Spain to focus on. So if you get away from France, and you get away from the US and Napa Valley, and Sonoma, and all the West Coast things that are exploding and getting more famous and more expensive all the time, you can explore wines more cost effectively. You can get a really good wine for $10 from Argentina that it might cost $20 to get if it's from France, of the same quality level. It's going to have some differences, of course, but that's sort of the balancing that I'm doing in exploring wines, mostly from these three countries. Of course, I pick up a Napa here and there, and I pick up some Italians that I like. And they're wonderful, but I'm focusing on, can I tell the difference? Can I detect things? Can I find real interesting things? After today's episode on tools, I'm just going to do a white grape from all three countries, and then next episode be a red grape from all three countries. And those are coming up in coming episodes. But today, I just want to go over some of the tools. So the main one would be a guide for grapes, regions, styles of wine. It's important to learn about the labeling too. That's really complicated. Some countries just tell you what the grape is, and the wine itself may have a fanciful name. And then other countries like France, they have to go through their appellation system. So it's hard to figure out what's in some bottles and in others, but once you're familiar with a few countries and how they do things, you can sort of navigate, get your way around, get your bearings. So another important thing is some way to record your tasting notes. And of course, Madeline, being the good marketer that she is, has provided a tasting journal format through her channel and ecosystem and website, winefolly.com. But there's a basic page where you get to put some details about the wine, and then the appearance gets covered here, the aroma gets covered here, and then a few little bar graphs where you can record what level of the body. Is it medium or bold or light? Tannin level, acidity level, alcohol level, which tells you on the bottle, and then your perception of sweetness or dryness. And then you make a little face if you like it. So there's plenty of room to record one session with a little bit of wine. And if you come back to it a month later, you might record some different things. You might find more or less. So that's a great system for recording things. So I got one of her books. So this is not sponsored by her or anything. I'm just using her tools. So another one of the well, let's see. Here's one of my nerdy things. I'm a nerdy scientist and want to do all this stuff. So I bought a pH meter, a temperature correcting pH meter, so I can just dip it in and record the pH of the wine and the temperature. It's got a temperature range for wines. Lots of her white wine, she recommends 45 to 55 degrees at Fahrenheit. And then the red wines can be quite a bit warmer, 60 to 68 she recommends for many. And I just want to record the pH and the temperature of the wine while I'm tasting it as another piece of information. Help me compare things. So this is certainly not necessary for other people, but this is really slick. You just wash it off. You do have a calibration procedure you have to do, but mostly you don't have to worry about that. Keep it in, have some distilled water, dip it in your wine, swish it around a little bit, and numbers stabilize. So you get a temperature, you get a pH, and then you take it out, swish it around in distilled water, shake it off, and put it away. And it will work for weeks that way. And then you may have to do a calibration sometime. So that's fun. Now I really want to get to the main tool that lets me explore more expensive wines without having to rush through a bottle. So everyone's familiar with a corkscrew and may have more or less facility with it. And there are lots of different designs, but the best ones let you pry up on the ledge of the bottle and use a little leverage to pull the cork out. But I am using my corkscrews less and less because I am using my Coravin. So I was about to buy one in a store and then did a little research online, and people said the build quality was not as good for the modern, sleek, squarish ones. And so someone said, get a Model 1. And I did. This was $200 from Walmart.com. Came with a few extra cartridges, came with an extra needle. So what this device does is send a needle through the cork, and then you tip it over and let the wine run out, but it pressurizes it with a little cartridge of argon. I've got one here. So a little cartridge, like a hobbyist CO2 cartridge. It's like that, but it's argon gas, which is inert. It is heavier than air. It's residing in this little plastic part right here. So it's been pierced, and if you took it apart, you'd lose the rest of the argon. But that's in there to provide an inert atmosphere. As you pull out wine, it replaces it with argon. So I'm going to do it right here. Then let's see. You can replace the needles. You can get different kinds of needles. So you can see that coming off there in the overhead camera. And then, okay, so I'll just do a little demonstration. This fits on the neck of the bottle. And this is not the usual geometry of me and my body in the bottle, but we're on video. So there's a little trigger here that lets you release some of the argon. It does splash and splatter a bit. So wear a lot of red, have a lot of red shirts. So that should be enough. I usually let it mostly run out until the stream slows. I only give momentary pushes of the gas, because if you discharge the whole gas cylinder into the bottle all at once, it will explode. The bottle is probably not made to handle that sort of pressure. And that's more wine than I need for any demonstration here today. But when you're done, you pull the needle back out and then immediately rinse some water through this opening where the wine came out. It will run down here through the needle. I wash this whole area, then just bang it on my hip, basically to dry it off and set it in a drying rack. So I can put this way over here now. I will wash this momentarily and you won't see it. So the Coravin lets me not open the bottles completely. I can go back to this in 2 months and it will not have oxidized any. It will not have deteriorated in the bottle because of oxygen getting in. So every once in a while there'll be a case where it doesn't work well. And you still have the sticky issue of screw caps, which is so common in Australian wines, in Argentina. But Coravin provides some screw caps. These white ones are smaller, these are bigger. So I've had a couple bottles where I needed the big ones. But these, so you take the cap off and very quickly, within a fraction of a second, screw this on to replace the cap. And then it's got a rubber septum that the whole Coravin system will work with. But that's really not a perfect system because you do expose it to some oxygen. So I am working, nerdy scientist, chemist that I am, I'm working on a glove bag system that will be full of inert nitrogen, and the bottles will rest in there for a day or two before I switch the corks over, and then no oxygen will get in. But that's all in the future, and expensive. And we'll have some expense to it. So there's some expense with the Coravin system, there's expense with the cylinders, there's expense with the screw caps, but they let you explore a bottle of wine. It might be an expensive one. They'll let you explore a bottle of wine without having to rush through it. You can come back to it months later, rather than trying to consume it all in a week or a few days. I meant to talk about glasses before this, but so I guess I will now. So this glass actually came from Wine Folly. It's supposed to be a tough Austrian crystal. I'm looking for the little initials. Oh yeah, there it is. It does have a little signature by the glassmaker. It's a tough Austrian crystal, I think, that dishwasher safe. I've run it through my dishwasher several times. I run all my glasses through a dishwasher. So this is the Wine Folly recommended shape. I bought a cheap one at World Market. This was $6, similar shape, bigger. So these big glasses are what the somms seem to always use. And Madeline Puckette's a sommelier, by the way. And then, so these are the recommended tasting glasses. This is what I use on screen usually for visual interest and no other reason. And then what I actually do in everyday life is usually use one of these stemless ones because easier in the dishwasher. Just plop them in. These, you have to make special arrangements to hold them up in an inert spot and not have anything crash into them or have them tip over and break off a stem. So I don't use these as much as I should, and I probably should get used to it, but I've got 4 of these stemless wine glasses. Use them all the time. They're great. I get to smell everything, but not worrying too much about the washing part. So these Wine Folly glasses, I kind of remember something like $30 or $35 for a pair. And they came in a box, very nicely packaged, that arrived safely. So more Wine Folly stuff there. And it's certainly possible to get cheaper wares. Okay, what's another tool of mine? Piece of white paper is often recommended, especially by Madeline, for checking out the color of the wine. So looking at that overhead camera, my paper has some lines on it, so I can try to see through it. I can only see through it at the edges. The middle of it is too dark. It is too dark, and I'm seeing a little garnety color. So this is a pale ruby maybe with garnety edges. Yeah, there's quite a bit of garnet there. This is a Spanish blend, red blend by the way. That might pop up in another episode. That's part of the checkout of the colors. The colors tell you something. I don't know everything now, but I will know more soon. So I will certainly put a link to winefolly.com and to her YouTube channel, which is excellent. She goes through, she's very unpretentious and does great demonstrations, great comparisons. She was doing live streams long before any whiskey tubers were doing live streams, and she had a 2-camera setup to show color and her display board. She's a great presenter of information. She is a teacher, she's a sommelier, and just knows how to present things. And then she did all this visual stuff for her book. So she knows how to convey the information. She has the information in her head.
They're all really affordable, ranging from about $10 a bottle to about $25. So you don't have to spend a lot to get into Italian wine. If there is one grape variety you absolutely must know, it's Sangiovese. And our first wine is exactly that. It comes to us from Tuscany, from the region of Chianti, and specifically Chianti Classico.
I think she lives in the Washington state. I think she's in Seattle. So that's her base, but she knows all about world wines and gets lots in regularly. So I learn a lot from her. Another YouTuber I follow is Konstantin Baum. He's a German guy, living in Germany, I guess, and just knows lots about wines from all over the world. I think he's been all over the world and done things in other countries, so he's well equipped to present the information on wines as he sees it, and he's very interesting and an entertaining presenter.
I like Clemens Busch from the Mosel, and this is his Marienburg Großes Gewächs from the 2018 vintage. This is beautiful and fresh and vibrant right now, but it will age gracefully over the next few years. I usually like to drink one bottle when it's young and then keep the rest of the case for a little bit longer. If you only have one bottle, then keep it. Patience will be rewarded. Wine number 4 is Sauvignon Blanc. Let's face it, Sauvignon Blanc is a crowd pleaser. When I have lots of friends over who are not necessarily into wine, I open Sauvignon Blanc because I know that most people will like it, will enjoy it.
He's not afraid to get outside of the box. And then I guess my third person I follow is Julien Miquel. I'll put a correction down if I've butchered it too much. He's a French guy, and he's based in France and worked in the industry quite a bit in lots of different countries, so he's well equipped to taste and evaluate. He's a som, and can taste and evaluate wines from all over the world and knows what he's tasting and talking about.
To impress people, a wine that is so fruity that everyone's going to be interested and fascinated by this wine because it's got so many different facets that just explode on your palate that everyone's going to be like, wow, what is this? Well, go for a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc.
So those are 3 online resources that I follow quite a bit. I've been finding verses in the Bible. The threshing floors shall be full of grain, and the vats will overflow with wine and oil, from Joel 2. So I think that's the end of this episode. Next time we'll do the comparative tastings from my 3 countries I have chosen, and I'm just looking to detect differences and be a better taster. So come back for that, and Merry Christmas. Mmm.